part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
What did you mean where we go? What did you mean did you guys quit recording?
No, we didn't quit anything.
Doesn't everyone take a 6-week break?
It wasn't even an on-purpose 6-week break.
It wasn't 6 weeks either.
No, it was what, 4?
4 weeks, I think. It was supposed to be 1 or 2. And then you had a vacation in the middle of that.
Well, I got pneumonia.
Good job on that, by the way.
So
it's hard to get.
I literally couldn't talk for more than 3 or 4 seconds without a coughing fit that would like wreck my soul. And so we couldn't record. And then vacation came along. And we thought, hey, we'll just record on vacation because Jason and his wife came with us for part of vacation. And we forgot to bring our gear. So that didn't happen. Then when we got back, Jason got bronchitis. And now here we are.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So, hey, if you missed us, sorry. If you didn't miss us,
you're a jerk.
Screw you.
But it feels good to be wanted.
I guess, yeah. A few
text people
messages.
People are texting, asking, hey, what the heck? We're like, that's right. This is the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
For the sports collector.
As always, we're brought to you by the Press Play Podcast Network. If you don't know us, my name is Jason Otero.
I'm Gary Lemaster.
And we're glad to be back, baby.
We are.
A lot of things have happened. We basically went on content strike until Bowman Retail was released. It was. Hobby was released. It was.
Yep.
It's still a great product.
Always.
Still love it. The design is a little bit of a throwback with those little curves and little pinpoints.
It's 2014 Bowman with a slight tweak.
Yeah. I'm okay with it. Next episode, if you are a Bowman person, a prospecting person, I know we spend a lot of time on that, we're going to break down 12. We'll just leave it at this. They're not all 12 people to invest in. Some of them are 12, people to sell now. Get your money while you can. But we're going to break down some players we're excited about, some players to avoid long term, some to make your money on right away. But, that's a big deal in the hobby that's back. Another hobby related thing.
What's that?
I think it's kind of cool. Golden Auction's getting its own show on Netflix.
Ken Golden's such a douche. Oh, he's such a douche.
I don't know if I would use that word for him.
I would. He literally on the last episode was like, this card appraises for $3,500. The last sale of the exact card on eBay 2 days before was $212.
Well, he's not selling it on eBay.
Yeah, nobody's buying it on Golden either. Have you not watched the mid-tier stuff?
If I'd have known that you had nothing but you get 4 weeks off and come back with this much negativity.
It's getting crushed on Golden. I'm just saying, Ken Golden's a snake. I'm not a fan.
I don't think he's a snake. I disagree.
Okay, that's fine.
I think he's somebody that's just here's my hot take. Is Ken Golden actually a collector?
Is Ken Golden actually a lizard person? Have you looked at his face? It looks like the skin has been stretched over something else.
Ken was going to be on next episode.
No, he wasn't.
But now he's not. And that was my 3 degrees to 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon.
Ken Golden, if you want to come on our podcast, if you are listening, feel free. I'm going to make fun of you if you do, though.
I did think it was sweet how he looked at Logan Paul and said, you want to just open another box? I'll go halves on you. $166,000.
Yeah.
And they didn't get a Charizard.
No.
That was fun. I did feel that scene, though. I did feel that. When they pulled nothing, they looked at each other like, oh, no.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun. But I think it's good for the hobby. It gets more stuff in the spotlight. The Triple Logo Man was the big story in a lot of that.
Yeah, he guaranteed it would sell for $3 million, went for 1.2.
The billionaire that got like a $12.5 million advance on his jersey collection. That was crazy.
Yeah. So
I personally liked it, even if you hated it.
Well, I didn't say I hated it. I just think Ken Golden's a douche. That's all. I think he's about as good for the hobby as Jeff Wilson is. That's my opinion.
If you keep alienating us from everyone in the hobby.
I like the Sports Card Radio guys.
Eventually, as we grow and meet people, they're going to be like, oh yeah, you hate me.
No, I don't hate Jeff Wilson. I think Jeff Wilson is probably...
We're not making fun of Jeff Wilson.
No, I think he's probably a nice guy. I don't think Ken Golden's a nice guy. I think Ken Golden's a douchebag. Unless you have lots of money, then he'll be a really nice guy too.
I don't know about all that. I just couldn't get over the laugh repeatedly.
Ken Golden
reminds me... A fun drinking game would be to let Ken Golden finish this.
Ken Golden reminds me of a guy who, if he saw a homeless guy laying in the street, would
Gary?
He would not only step over him, but he would try to kick him as he did. That's who Ken Golden reminds me of.
I would never lay a claim to somebody I've never met like that.
I'm just telling you what my take is. Why do you keep drinking what you're drinking?
For those of you listening at home, I've got stomach issues going on. And so, man, this happens from time to time, more so in the last couple of years since
old.
Yeah. So I made a double shot of Mayo. What's it called? It's the fiber, the orange fiber.
I don't know. I just eat things with fiber in them
and
vegetables.
I forgot that you have to drink it quickly, so it had expanded to a solid state.
Oh no!
But I didn't want to waste the fiber.
Oh, so you're just slurping that down? The look on his face,
like a sand-filled Jello shot.
The look on his face as he was drinking it, I thought he had vodka, just straight vodka or something over there.
No, sober
amazing.
as could be.
Okay.
Anyway, so a couple big things there in the hobby. Bowman's out. I think that TV show is kind of a big deal. Any other products you want to talk about? Anything that's dropped?
Nothing crazy.
Some of last year's football stuff.
Yeah, some 2022 football stuff hit. If you're spending money on 2022 football product wax, I guess the rest of the hobby thanks you for putting cards into circulation, but you're flushing your money directly down the toilet.
I have a product I'd like you to talk about.
What's that?
It's your sleeper product this year.
What's that?
And you're not the only one with this opinion. Big League Hobby.
It's so good.
So walk people through what this product is, because a lot of people haven't even heard of it.
Okay.
What it was intended for, and then why it's killing this year.
Okay, so Topps Big League. This product, for 6-7 years, that's how long they've been making it. It has been pure trash.
No, back up.
Why am I backing up?
Designed for what?
It's designed for little kids.
Okay.
Okay.
So for what it is,
yes,
how
for
many
what
cards
it is,
you get, it's
for what
perfect.
it is, it's fine. But it's never been. When I say pure trash, I'm talking about for people who are actually collecting or investing.
For a mid-40s man-child.
Yes. So it's always just been a junk product. You can get some numbered cards. The autographs do okay, but to give you an idea, a raw flagship Topps Ohtani rookie sells for $25-$30, and the Big League sells for like $7.
Yep.
But Topps came out, and it makes me wonder if they're going to change their mind, because Big League was on the list of products that they were going to cancel after this year. Mm-hmm. And then they brought it out this year. It looks amazing. It's priced perfect to rip. I've ripped 6 hobby boxes at $55 a box, and I've doubled my money on every single box.
So what's guaranteed in them?
Nothing. Not a single thing is guaranteed.
No parallels, no numbered cards.
I mean, you're good. I didn't have a box where I didn't hit at least a couple parallels.
Okay.
And they did it. It was really cool the way they designed it, because you talked about it being for kids. Mm-hmm. There are some numbered cards, but the rarities are described very much like Pokemon is. Mm-hmm. Base, uncommon, rare, ultra rare, legendary. Mm-hmm. They described it just like Pokemon, right? Yep. And the golds are the legendaries. I've pulled like 4 or 5 autos, decent ones too. Mm-hmm. A couple of rookies. Pulled the legendary rare Ken Griffey Jr. The James Outman base rookies are selling for $15 a piece, like as fast as you can list them on eBay. And it's just a fun rip for $55. That's what a mega of Series 1 costs.
Yeah. Yep.
And you're going to get cooler stuff in this. The inserts are awesome. They did an insert series called 8-Bit Ballers, and it looks like original Nintendo depictions of guys.
Fun sets.
Really cool stuff. They have a name tag set that my name is, and it's like their nicknames and stuff. It's just a really fun set. The rookies in the higher level rarities are selling for big dollars. The Adleys, the Michael Harrises, the Griffey that I pulled is $60-$70 card.
I saw a Babe Ruth 101 gold.
Yeah.
Get pulled out of that, which if you're usually those I see out of non-licensed stuff. So it'd be cool to pull something out of license. Now, probably $100. I don't know.
Yeah, but for a $55
maybe a little
hobby
bit
box?
more, but yeah, for a $55 hobby box, That's a good value. I thought, and I've started seeing that more and more on Facebook and different groups. So, if you're like me and the thought of the price, the entry level price for most hobby products is like, yeah, I'll buy singles instead.
Yeah,
this might not be a bad one to rip.
Fun. It's a fun rip. It really, really is. I enjoyed it enough to go. I bought my first couple boxes when we were in Florida on vacation, because I always take one day and hit all the hobby shops in Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. I take all day. There's 5 of them. I just make the rounds. And there's a shop down there. Shout out Dick and Jane's Sports Cards. It's awesome if you're in the Jacksonville area at any point. They've been in business since '89. They have wax since 1989. Mm-hmm. Really good stuff. The owner's awesome. He'll give you a tour of the back room. They probably have 15 million singles.
Wow.
It's just a really cool shop, and you would think that there was nothing there. Mm-hmm. And it's an awesome shop. But I bought my first 2 boxes, and I went back 2 more times while we were there. Nice. It was that fun of a rip. So, anyhow,
cool. I've been buying a lot of. Have we talked since the last card show? Have we done anything since? Probably not.
No, we haven't.
So.
Because that's when I started getting sick, and then you got
So I picked up a PC card that for me is kind of a grail. If you're like an OG original listener back, what are we coming up on? 3 years, 2 years, whatever it is?
Yeah, we are, but that's crazy.
I talked about the one card that was super iconic for me. It was the Eric Davis, was it the 92 tops where he has his chain hanging out?
Yeah.
And Gary and I just finished up a show that was actually a lot slower that could be, which is what we're going to talk about here in a little bit is doing shows. And there was like a couple tables that hadn't quite closed up yet. And I just said, well, I'll go over and peek. And they had 2 of the Topps Archives Eric Davis autos, on-card autos there that are numbered. And one of them was the buyback of the 92. So I found my favorite Eric Davis card. I got it autographed. It's numbered out of something. It's in one of those like encased deals. Bought it for like 30 or 40 bucks, and in 10 years it's going to be worth probably 30 or 40 bucks.
Yep,
and I'm as happy as can be.
Yeah.
So I was pumped about finding that.
I've been your hands look like you've just been rolling around in grease,
man.
bro.
I'm a hard-working man, and I have been rolling around in grease.
Didn't mean to cut you off there. You just held your hands up there like an evangelist, and I was scared for a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for doing that.
Yep.
So everybody can visualize how filthy my hands are after work.
They are real bad.
And then everything else I've been buying, I've been doing mostly singles on Facebook groups again.
Yep.
It's kind of weird. What I've noticed is the deals kind of move from place to place. You kind of have a few months where shows seem to be where it's at, and the groups are way overselling, and then you'll hop back in, and enough people didn't pay their taxes in time, and they're ready to move some products,
right.
And you'll find some good deals there. But this last few weeks, I usually don't like doing this because it feels like a waste of time, but it is not. I've been finding a lot of these 25 and 50 cent sales where they have thousands of pages of binders, and what I'm looking for, I'm simply qualifying what years are in this.
Yeah.
If I don't mind seeing a little bit of late 80s, early 90s, but within the first few pages, I want to see some early 2000s or 2010.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of the ones are where, for me, the value's there because I can buy inventory to flip, buy 25 or 50 cents to sell $1 to $3 all day long.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been having a lot of fun with it, and it helps me because my impulse control could cost me $18 and not, $380. Yeah.
I got a Topps Chrome Nolan Arenado rookie in a 50-cent sale one day. Like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been buying a lot there with that. So for today, what I wanted to talk about a little bit is card shows. And then we want to touch on the draft. What do you want to do first?
I mean, we're already talking about cards and card shows, so we should probably just get into your rant there.
That's fine. I didn't need the first sentence. The simple answer would have been fine, but it's not a rant either.
Okay. I'm interested to see
Are you not on board?
I'm 100% on board. I had a different...
do think we talked about this 15 minutes ago?
Yeah, I think I understood what you wanted to do here slightly differently than what you meant. So I'm ready.
What do you want to do?
No, you take the lead. I'm here with you.
So we've been doing a lot of card shows. You're doing even more than I am. What, 3 weekends out of the month?
3 or 4, depending on the month.
Yeah, I'm 1 or 2 a month, which I'm happy with. I don't have the inventory right now. I have to spend some money and time building it the right way. I can't just go buy whatever. The margins have to be there. So, but anyway, I just kind of like to run through what we're seeing at card shows, different types of people we run into at the card show that we either love or hate or are a little interesting. Is that what you thought we were going to talk about?
Yes, I just thought it was going to be more anger filled than what it sounds like you're about to
I feel like
make
you've
it that
already
way.
covered that. I mean,
Okay.
from King Golden, like
Such a
you just
douche.
started like lining them up and knocking them down.
That's my job. That's what I
I'm
do.
not as angry as I was with the Dolphins thing
Okay.
when we got in trouble and Flores and all that. Remember that? We're terrible, terrible. You know.
Yeah.
But I have noticed there's a few main personality types. I'd like for you to kind of jump in with this. First up, perhaps my least favorite of all card show collectors is the old man with a Kroger bag and a jacket. Here's what happens. This guy's been collecting longer than you've been alive. He walks up to your table, looks at all the prices marked stuff like it's all trash, and proceeds to ask for the chair you have and sit in front of your dollar box, draping his coat across all your cards, setting his plastic bag on there, and then telling you of his $3 budget his wife told him not to go over. Only he's not joking. He really has $3. Additionally, he's going to pull everything out of the 50-cent and $1 box, look it over, corner for corner, make a stack, and little by little put them back. How much money did you lose? Well, it wasn't from him. It was everyone else that couldn't stop at the table over the next 30 minutes while this young man, old man, spent $3.
Yeah. That guy exists at every card show, and I would say that it's probably 15% of card show attendees. And when that guy shows up, you just cringe. So, hey, if you're that guy and you're listening to the show, we appreciate you. We're glad you're in the hobby. Here's some tips on how to make your buying experience better and make our selling experience better.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Yes.
Because I want to hear this. But there's a good chance he's not listening because he also is playing audio of the text messages he receives because he can't read his phone.
That's fair.
So,
If you are listening, sir, and I will say that while it is an old man most of the time, there are some middle-aged guys that fall into this category. There's one guy that comes to the Xenia show every month, and I like him, but he digs through your box, gets 3 cards out, puts them all back, and walks to the next table.
he's got stiff knees.
He does. So, tips for you to make your buying experience better and our selling experience better. Tip number 1.
For this guy.
Yeah, for this buyer type.
Okay.
Tip number 1, stay home.
That's not good.
Okay. Tip number 2, if you insist on coming to the show, have a list in your mind of what you're looking for. And when you come to someone's table, say, hey, do you have X, Y, and Z? I don't know about every dealer, and I know I'm a little bit of like a nerd anomaly when it comes to this. I've probably got, between all of my boxes and my slabs and my prices marked stuff, I've probably got, I don't know, 3,000 cards on my table at any given show. I have a pretty good idea what they all are. So have an idea of what you're looking for so that I can tell you whether I have it and roughly where it is. And that way you don't have to take an hour just covering the table.
No, I don't mind shooting the breeze and talking cards. I love it. It's just when nobody else can use
Well, I
my
have to
table.
say, tip number 3, stay out of the way.
That's,
if you're going to do
went
that.
1 to 3, didn't you?
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. Number 1, stay home.
Oh, stay
Number
home.
2, if you insist on coming with your $3 budget, cool. Know what you're looking for so we can help you find it quickly. And last but not least, if you do insist on digging through stuff, don't spread out and take up the whole 8-foot table.
Also, maybe a 3B, if
Okay.
I can amend. They make these really cool walkers that have chairs.
Yeah, you can roll up in that thing.
Whether you need it or not, just for the
bring
card
your-
shows.
Just bring your rascal, bro.
You know, we saw a guy at the last one, big boy with
Yeah.
West Virginia gear on.
Yeah.
He had a big igloo cooler that he only brought to carry his cards and to sit on.
Yeah.
I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
But,
So cool. Those are
one.
that's that buyer.
all right, type 2. Let's go from the old to the young.
Okay.
Good chance this kid has hair like my son, long bangs, and he straightens them straight out, just straight out, like curled out,
rocking the
flared
Logan
out.
Paul look from 2 years ago.
Yes,
Got it.
Yes. He comes to every show. Why? Because his dad drags him there.
Yep.
Do you want to finish the sentence for me?
No, I'm
What's
just
this
waiting
kid like?
for you to go.
Comes up to your table. Hey, are you guys buying today? I give him my answer. I always do. Well, it just depends on what you got. I'll always take a look. And then I proceed to go through stuff that I've seen for the last 3 shows typically. But I don't want to discourage a kid from being involved in cards.
Right.
I think it's good. I think it's great that they're hustling. What gets really annoying is whenever they're like, they know more than you do about the card, and they ask $30 over comps, even when you pull up 4 comps and show them where they are with it. And then a kid makes you feel stupid as you're at a table.
So I don't usually have that struggle because I'm more of a jerk than you are.
Let's say that again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody who knows us knows that to be the case. When that kid comes to my table and asks if I'm buying, I short circuit them on the front end. And I say, absolutely. But before I waste your time or you waste mine, I just want to let you know what percentages that I pay. If your card's worth less than $100, I'm going to be at about 60 to 65%. If your card's worth between $100 and $300, I'm going to be at about 70. If your card's over $300, if it's super liquid and I can move it quick, I'll get up to about 80. Otherwise, I'm going to be at about 75%. Are you okay with that? If they say no, I say, cool, no problem. I'm not your guy. If you're looking to get close to comps, you should probably talk to the show organizer and get yourself a table.
Get yourself a table. Yeah.
And I will amend that by saying also, if you do happen to have in that case any high-end Ed Oliver cards or any really cool Ken Anderson pieces, then yeah, I'll pay you comps for them because those are for me.
Yeah.
And they look at me like I'm an idiot.
And they say, who's Ed Oliver?
Exactly. And I say, exactly. You won't have my PC stuff.
Yeah.
So there we go. So I short circuit it.
Yeah.
And can I add to that one?
Absolutely.
Not that kid, but a similar kid who does the trade up challenge. The trade up challenge makes me want to punch babies.
We're really negative today.
I don't mind to help a kid once, but what drives me nuts is when you make a trade with them to help them, and then they come back to you 10 minutes later and try to trade you back the card that you traded them.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, you were already here. We did this already. No, thank you.
Yeah. No, I'm good with that. And especially when you could tell, or they're like, is there anybody you're looking for? And then they try to sell from dad's table to your table.
Yes.
I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that. All right. Let's move on to the sneaker flippers. So these guys have a Whatnot, an eBay, a Facebook thing that they do. They'll ask, hey, if I put a stack together, can we get a deal? I will. You've seen me give away more than I should on those.
Me too.
I am there to sell stuff. If a card is super important to me, it's not at the show.
Right.
It's just how it is for me. It would have to be really valuable or a dumb number on it. I just don't bring those cards. So yeah, I'll work with you on it. And then you realize it has nothing to do with the value and the profit margin. It's just being as greedy as possible with what they can get.
Right.
That's really tough for me.
I don't mind those guys as long as they're transparent on the front end and I'm transparent back. You've heard me. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm buying because I sell on Whatnot. Cool. What are you looking to buy? What do you sell on Whatnot? I usually sell cards that end up selling for, $4 to $5. So you want to look in my $2 box, right? Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, but can we get less than $2 on them? I said, well, I mean, how many are you going to buy?
Right.
Usually if you're buying 100 cards or so, I'll give you a 15% kick off of that. And they'll go, oh, I need to be more like, 60%. Cool, I'm not your guy.
Yeah.
And then we don't waste each other's time. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest thing for me. If you know anything about me, I'm an impatient person. And I cannot stand having my time wasted. It literally is the one thing in life that makes me angrier than anything
You ever
else.
thought about working on that?
I don't want to. I'm
Why?
old.
Why?
I'm old. I'm good with how I am.
When you were young?
I like myself.
Do you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you met yourself?
I have.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the dream collector that comes up to your table.
Okay.
What are you looking for?
What am I looking for when
They have money. They're ready to spend it.
I like people who know what they're looking for.
Yep.
Aren't afraid to ask for it. And are just looking to get a solid value. They're not buying it to try to resell it. Actually, this customer exists for me. They're a regular customer of mine. I won't mention their names because I don't have permission to mention their names. But they're Central Ohio folks. They're always at the South High Show. It's a husband and his wife. They're both collectors. They're big Yankees fans. They always buy from me. They always know what they're looking for. They're not trying to get over on me. They know I'm not trying to get over on them. If I have something that they like, they know they're going to be able to buy it for a reasonable price. And it's always an awesome experience dealing with them. Yeah. It makes me as a dealer want to help them. and give them good deals on things. That's my dream customer. The customers who you develop relationships with, and they're not trying to, get over on you. They know you're not trying to get over on them, and you're always going to be able to make each other happy. And
I really don't mind if somebody spends much money. You're sitting at these tables. I love conversations about cards. Yep. There's a I don't know if you remember this. I had that was a 62 Hank Aaron that I had for a couple shows. Everybody kept picking it up. You couldn't believe nobody had purchased it yet. And this older gentleman at the Xenia show came by, and he just took a look at it, and he just started talking the card with me.
Yeah.
And he wasn't buying it because it would have been a downgrade for his version. You could tell. But he talked me through what he said on valuation. He asked me what I thought it would grade. We talked for a while, and every show since then he stops by and chats.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I'm all about that collector.
Yep.
What I'm not saying is I just want a transaction and no cards and no community. I think there's a lot of cool stuff happening. Like, you and I are not always able to get tables. Like,
no.
There's a waiting list. I think these things are great for the hobby. But man, some shows, I don't know if you've been there as a collector. If you've set up and you're 3 or 4 hours in, you're like, man, where is everyone? Or, hey, there's a ton of people here. Where's the money?
Yep.
Then you start questioning if you have anything worth selling.
Yep.
So I did a little experiment last week. I hadn't done many Facebook sales in several months. And I was like, maybe what I have just isn't there. Maybe what I think dollar value isn't there, or 2 or 5 or prices or whatever. So I just went through and picked a group with a lot of people and ran everything from my show, like over a 3 or 4 hour window, put it on there. And I had a pretty solid response with it. So it was a good reminder.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are looking. Sometimes they don't see what they want.
And some shows are not for everybody. Like, I just did a 2-day show in Cleveland. It was a 7-hour round trip. It's a mall show, which was kind of cool. I've never set up at a mall show, but as a kid, I went to them almost every weekend, right? I used to go to the show at River Valley Mall that they had every month, and it was awesome. So the mall show was kind of a neat experience, but what I realized once I got up there is a lot of the people who were there to buy were primarily football and basketball buyers. Mm-hmm. What's at my table mostly?
Yeah, not basketball.
Baseball. And some football, but mostly baseball. And the positive to that was there were probably 80 dealers, and there were like 3 of us that were primarily baseball. Mm-hmm. So the baseball buyers were coming to me. There was just 1 out of every 10 people there was a baseball buyer.
Yeah.
So that was cool. One other customer type that I want to throw in that you weren't thinking about, but it's one of my favorite kinds. And it's a goal of mine at every show to find one of these customer types and do something cool for them. I love seeing people, sometimes it's moms, sometimes it's dads, sometimes it's both, who are trying to get their kids into the hobby. Mm-hmm. And they're collectors and they want their kids to be a part of it too.
Yeah.
And they come to your table, and I've got a regular customer that falls into this category too. His son and his daughter are always there. His wife comes sometimes. He's a really cool guy. He's bought a lot of stuff from me. His daughter collects, she doesn't care who the player is. She collects animal print cards from Select. Football, baseball, basketball, animal prints. Zebras, elephants, snake skins, dragon scales. Doesn't care if they're commons, doesn't care if they're nice. Mm-hmm. She spends her own money.
Yeah.
I always try to make sure I've got one. Mm-hmm. And if it's not anything big, I just give it to her.
I do like doing that for kids.
The show in Cleveland this weekend, there was a kid there with his dad. He was real shy. He dug through my value slab box, found a 2018 Russell Westbrook silver PSA 9. Mm-hmm. I had $10 on it. Whatever. And he pulled it out, and you could tell he really wanted it. Mm-hmm. And he had a budget. It was his own money, and it was going to blow his whole budget for the show. And I looked at him. I said, let me see that real quick. He handed it to me. I looked over real good. I said, what do you like about Russell Westbrook? He got real shy. Mm-hmm. Kind of looked at his dad, kind of leaned back away. He didn't know how to respond. I said, what do you like about this card? And I turned around and he went, it's really shiny and I just like watching him play. And I said, cool, you take this with you. Have a good day.
Yeah.
And his dad was like, oh, you can't do that. I was like, yeah, I can. He ended up buying like 4 cards out of my 50-cent box.
Sure.
And he gave me $5 for them.
Yeah.
And he was thrilled. And those are the things, if you're a dealer and you're listening, I hear guys all the time, the old grumpy guys complain about kids at shows. Listen, those kids are the future of this hobby. Whether you like how they do business or not, whether you complain about their cases with their slabs or not, doesn't matter. Your old ass is going to be dead in 10 years, and they're going to be the future of the hobby. Encourage them.
Yeah.
Give them an economics lesson kindly. I do that on almost every show. I have to give an economics lesson. But do it kindly.
Yeah.
And the little kids, encourage them.
Yeah.
Give them something. It's that Russell Westbrook, I probably bought it at a flea market for $3. I don't care.
When somebody has that one wrinkled up dollar bill and they've just been agonizing over the dollar box for 30 minutes, they pick the card out. It's almost, just take it, buddy.
Yeah, have it, man. It's cool.
Then they bring 5 friends over and you're like, no, that one's $1. These are 50 cents. Those are $2.
Right.
I did have one kid that tried to trade me and they came back and stole the card he traded a few months ago. It was $1.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I would agree. Like those things are really cool. I also like watching guys that are a little bit older, been collecting a while, that are really enjoying this recent, pop with the hobby.
Yeah.
And they've tuned in a little more with the ultra modern stuff. They're a little more interested in the SP and serial numbered and just some of those things that some of the OG collector set builders aren't crazy about.
Or stuff that they want from the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
That just reminds them of, when they were collecting.
I did have an older gentleman. He was probably about 90. Come to the table. You remember this. He bought like a Peyton Manning rookie. It was prestige, but it was like a parallel, right?
Yep.
Raw, the card was like $20. It wasn't in great shape. And a Pujols Fleer rookie.
Oh, I do
That was
remember
like 10
this.
or 15.
Yep. Now I remember.
And he was like, 2 guys I'm looking for, Peyton Manning and Albert Pujols. So he's with it because these are more recent.
Yeah, he
in
followed
the last
the
couple
tips,
years.
too.
Yeah, these are the guys they're saying they're still cheap. They're still
He
cheap.
followed the tips.
So he goes in and on a handwritten notepad, it's got to be 50 pages. He's looking through to see if he had this card or not.
Yeah.
He wants all of them.
Yeah.
For these players.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cool. Of course, he beat me up to get another 30, 40% off. And of course I was going to give it to him because it was just so cool. He had a coat and a Kroger bag, and he didn't set it all across the table. He knew what he wanted.
Yes. He followed all the tips.
And he spent money and got a good deal. I was happy.
Yeah. So that's our card show types. If you fall into those buckets and there's things you can do better, do them. And hey, just because of this type of person I try to be, if you come to our show and you think there's some shit we could be doing better, tell us.
We'll tell you to screw right off.
All right.
You want to touch on the draft real quick? before we
NFL
wrap
draft.
up?
How deep are we here?
What do you mean? How much time?
I mean, yeah.
We're
How
at
deep
32
are we?
minutes in.
Yeah, okay. We got a little bit of time to talk about the draft. So we're not going to get deep. We're not going to do big, long-winded team analyses. You can go read Mel Kiper's horrible opinions on things if you want that. Just so everybody's aware, in case you didn't know, Mel Kiper's really bad at his job. He thought Will Levis was the best quarterback in this class, which just is asinine. So we'll start first round. We'll just hit some highlights. Bryce Young went number 1. I think it's a bad pick. I don't think Bryce Young is a bad quarterback. I think Bryce Young is basically the size of a Pez dispenser. And in college, he was able to kind of run away from some guys and break out of some tackles because he was playing against college guys. He's not breaking out of those tackles in the NFL, and he's not running away from those guys in the NFL. And when they get those big, giant hands on him, he's going to break like a twig.
Wow.
I don't think it's because he's a bad player. I think if somehow, some way he can stay healthy, he can be a good player. I just don't think he's going to stay healthy. CJ Stroud to the Texans. I don't know how I feel about it. There was so much talk leading up to the draft, and the Texans did a really good job of making everybody think they were going to pass on a quarterback at 2.
They did.
And then they took Stroud. I think Stroud, and part of this is a little bit of Ohio State bias, but most of it is just understanding quarterback play. He's the best quarterback in the draft. Mm-hmm. He's the best pure passer in the draft.
Yeah.
I think he can move a little bit more than people think he can. He just didn't have to do it much at Ohio State. You look in the national championship game when he had to do it, he did it. He's far and away the most accurate passer. He's far and away the best touch passer. So great job by the Texans there. I just hope they don't get him killed. That's my concern.
Well, and the knocks on him that I've heard are people just saying he's not quite a cerebral passer.
Yeah, did you not see it
if
came
you
out?
have that kind of touch,
Yeah, that
You're
test
thinking.
score was faked.
Yeah.
That came out right before the draft. Like that was fake.
Okay.
Then the Texans went nuts and traded all the way back up to number 3 to take the guy that they made everybody think they were going to take it to, Will Anderson. Will Anderson, such a good college player. I don't think it's going to translate to the pros. I just don't think he's big enough to do what they're going to want him to do. If you just want to make him a weak side linebacker, cool. But his appeal is that he's a pass rusher. But he's about as undersized for a pass rusher as Bryce Young is for a quarterback.
Keeping the positivity moving, Indianapolis Colts, Anthony Richardson.
Oh, such a terrible pick. Such a god-awful You guys heard me talk about Anthony Richardson and Will Levis before we went on hiatus. The kid's one hell of an athlete. And I always preface this kind of like Pat McAfee does. I'm only talking about in comparison to other NFL players and other NFL quarterbacks. Anthony Richardson would make all of us look like fools if we played football with him, because football is hard and the NFL is hard. But he's going to be a god-awful quarterback. Just absolute god-awful.
You're annihilating this
Not
class.
necessarily Zach Wilson level god-awful, because he's a better athlete than Zach Wilson, but he's going to throw passes that remind you of Jamarcus Russell. He's going to put the ball in the dirt 4 yards in front of guys on swing passes. He cannot throw a football with anything resembling accuracy. And you have to be able to do that in the NFL.
Yeah.
The only good news about that, my boy Gardner Minshew is going to start, baby.
You think?
Oh, yeah. If they roll Anthony Richardson out, they're going 0-16. I'm telling you right now, they're going 0-16. He's that bad.
How many times has this happened to Gardner Minshew in his career?
Well, he's
been in a similar situation
He should
many
get 16
times.
games.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson ain't no Trevor Lawrence. Like, it's just
Yeah.
not.
I agree with that. I think, throwing the ball seems to be the biggest struggle there.
Which is what a
All
quarterback.
right,
supposed
Devin
to do.
Witherspoon,
Yeah,
quarterback
forget about
Illinois.
that. Let's jump to 8. Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson, best running back in the draft. Terrible pick. Absolutely awful pick.
Why?
If you're drafting a running back in the first round, that's what we call a luxury pick. If you're a Super Bowl contender before the draft, you can make that luxury pick. The freaking Falcons got Tyler Algiers in the 5th round last year, and he went for almost 1,100 yards.
Yeah.
What in the name of God do you need Bijan Robinson for on a team that went 7-10 and has a lot of holes? Just a bad pick. Not a bad player. I think Bijan Robinson will probably be a pretty good player.
I'm forcing
Bad pick.
you to make sure the next pick is a good pick.
Well, we're not going to talk about Jalen Carter then.
Okay.
A lot of people thought he was the number 1 player.
No,
in
we're
the
not
draft.
going to talk
We're not
about
going to talk about him. Okay, let's see. Well, we're not going to talk about Jahmyr Gibbs to Detroit then.
Are you all listening to this? Because
It was a weird draft. I like Peter Skoronski to the Titans at 11. I really like Peter Skoronski to the Titans at 11. He's going to play guard. It's weird for a guard to go that high, but the kid's got a mean streak, and he's pretty daggone good. I thought he could have been a top 10 pick, so getting him at 11 was nice. The Packers went full Packers. They decided not to help Jordan Love any more than they helped Aaron Rodgers, and they took a kid they could have got in the 2nd round at 13. Christian Gonzalez to the Patriots at 17, great pick. Top 10 talent. I thought there was a really good chance that he could have gone at 8 to Atlanta or even 7 to the Raiders. So that was a really solid pick. I think the Patriots fans wanted a wide receiver. I understand why, but they really had holes in the back of that defense, and that kid's going to step in and be a day 1 starter. I'm not sure that I like how much they gave up to get him, but not bad. Lions, again, with another weird pick, kid they could have got in the 2nd round. I love Smith and Jigbo to the Seahawks. We were talking about this before the episode started recording. You were like, oh, Geno Smith. Geno Smith had a really good year last year, and there's nothing about his year that makes you think that he's not going to be able to replicate it.
I know he's just become a name where you don't expect it, I think is what's happened.
Yeah, I think, but last year was the first time he ever had like a team that they said, this is your team.
Yeah.
And there's no looking over your shoulder.
Yep.
Nobody in the locker room is going to punch you and break your jaw.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
so, and Smith and Jigba doesn't have to go in and be a number 1. You got Tyler Lockett there, you got DK Metcalf there, and then you bring Smith and Jigba in. It lets Tyler Lockett go to the slot where he is ideally suited to be, and it makes that offense really kind of scary. I was surprised that the Chargers took Quentin Johnson ahead of Zay Flowers. We had 4 straight receivers. Boom, 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 boom. Jordan Addison was the guy who was kind of the hot pick early before the draft started to maybe go in the top 10. I didn't see it. I didn't understand it. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. His production level, you're just drafting physical tools with that kid. And so he was the 4th receiver taken to the Vikings, who they needed a receiver. So I guess it's kind of a good pick there. They lost some guys. We'll see how he steps in across from Justin Jefferson now that Adam Thielen is in Carolina. And let's see. I'm trying to see what else I thought was an actual good pick. Oh, Eagles.
Looking over this, I realized I was bored with this draft. Now, the Dolphins may or may not have committed some sins that made it boring for me.
Yeah.
But
Nolan Smith to the Eagles was a great pick at 30.
Yep.
A really great pick at 30. It would have been a bad pick in the top 15, but at 30, that's a hell of a steal.
Yeah.
Last note on the draft, Will Levis, one of the joys of the draft for me was watching Will Levis and his douchey face just slide and slide and slide and slide.
So give me a couple reasons logically, less emotionally, why he went this far down.
So the 3 reasons that I see. One, anytime that there's anything that resembles pressure, he falls apart. 2, he doesn't make great reads. He locks, and that's it. He doesn't have a lot of touch on the ball either. Like, everything's a bullet. He wants to show off his arm at all times. And last but not least, one thing that I think NFL GMs learned from the Jets drafting Zach Wilson is that unbelievably arrogant quarterbacks don't do well in locker rooms. And nobody wanted to bring that type of a personality into their locker room in the first round as the anointed guy because they saw what it did to the Jets locker room with Zach Wilson. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of personality similarities between Will Levis and Zach Wilson. I think Will Levis has better physical tools than Zach Wilson, and he's a bigger kid. What was interesting to me was the Titans traded up in the second round to take him at 33, which tells us exactly what they think of Malik Willis.
Yep. Yeah.
So if you're holding Malik Willis cards from last year, hoping that at some point he turns it on, you did it wrong.
Well, the program I thought might mess with him just because they have a track record of doing this would have been the Colts later.
Well, I think it would have been a better pick than Anthony Richardson. The good news is he didn't go in the first
said
round.
that that's what he was wanting, but basically once Anthony popped up there, he felt like I didn't have a choice. This is a higher value, which is a really interesting way of viewing
It's
that.
higher potential upside if somehow Anthony Richardson learns to throw a football, which he hasn't learned in 22 years of life.
And it's a program that can't really wait around a couple more years to have a quarterback.
Well, they got Gardner. They got my boy Gardner.
I hope it pans out.
Every time Gardner Minshew has had a chance, he's done nothing but produce. That's all I can say about it. I think, I've said this before, I think that the career arc of Gardner Minshew is going to look eerily similar to the career arc of Rich Gannon.
Okay.
I think you're going to see Gardner Minshew about year 7 or 8 finally really settle in somewhere where he's the unquestioned starter and win an MVP or 2.
Well, speaking of career trajectories, your boy Davis Mills, what happens down there? He's got to go somewhere, right?
Well, I think they probably keep him as the backup. He was a 3rd-round pick, so he's cheap. He knows, he knows the players there. I think the locker room likes Davis Mills. I think the guys in the locker room down there understand that the Texans kind of hung him out to dry last year. He didn't have a lot to work with. And once Nico Collins got banged up and Brandon Cooks got banged up and Damian Pierce got hurt, it was like there wasn't much to work with there at all. I still think that he has the physical tools to be successful somewhere at some point. He may end up just being a career backup that you trust to come in and win you 2 or 3 games if you need them, and it goes back to the bench.
Yeah.
There's a place for guys like that in the NFL, and he'll have a 15-year career doing that.
Yeah.
But C.J. Stroud is obviously a drastically higher upside player than Davis Mills.
Be interesting to see what happens. Wish C.J. Stroud all the best, but Why are you pointing at the mic?
Get in your mic. You're talking over here.
I would like to wish CJ Stroud all the best. And is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you were literally over here talking.
Okay, fine.
Right.
I'm producing. I'm recording. I can't do it all.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
But
so anyway, recap. First round, what we hated, a little bit that we liked.
yeah. Go buy some big league if you're looking for something to rip with the kids. Get your Bowman. Buy the Bowman. Had a conversation with my wife this week. She's like, whenever this one comes out, we just buy it, right? When I see that one at the store? Yes.
And last but not least, if you live anywhere near Ken Golden, toilet paper his house.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
Gosh, this has been the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
For the Sports Collector.
See it.
Peace.